Please note that this content is for adults only. Viewer discretion advised. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. Hello everyone and welcome back to another live stream with me, Grizzly. Okay, this is Grizzly True Crime, and today we're going to talk about all the updates since the manhunt is now over for the suspect who's accused of murdering a couple who were just on a hike at Devil's Den State Park in Arkansas on July 26th of 2025. I mean, they were hiking with their two daughters aged 7 and 9 and were attacked by a suspect who allegedly stabbed them. And the children managed to get away to safety. They're okay, and they're with family. There's apparently also a press conference that's going to happen any minute now. So I'm going to have to be quick, okay? Because I have a quick update for you. If we have to skip to the press conference, we of course will. So let's just quickly go through the updates, right? And I'm monitoring the live feed to see when the press conference is. Let me just get this one going as well. Hold on one second. Okay, we've got that going. Stand by. All right. So on July 26th of 2025, Clinton, Cristen, and their two daughters went for a hike at Devil's Den State Park. They just moved to the area, and Clinton was about to start a new job on Monday, July 28th of 2025. They were on the Devil's Den Trail, a 1.5-mile loop near the park's visitor center in Devil's Den State Park when they were attacked. The girls ran to the visitor center and asked for help, and somebody then called 911. At 2:30 p.m., a 911 call was made to Washington County EMS reporting a possible assault at the park. The couple were found deceased. Shame. And when they were searching for them, they were calling for help. Oh my goodness. And by the time, law enforcement got to them, it was too late. They'd succumbed to their injuries. Oh my goodness. So they were found deceased and their daughters were unharmed. Sure, I can't imagine the trauma of their daughters. Okay, we've got a press conference coming up. They've now caught the suspect. There's been already an initial press conference, but they didn't say too much. They said they can't give out too many details, right? So hold on one second as I switch to that, because we are going to go over his background, that he was a teacher, and all of that. Before we switch to the press conference, let me show you the pictures of him. Oh my word, here's his booking photo. Here's a photo. There's the sketch. Like, what is going on? Look at this. Oh my goodness, 28 years old and was a teacher? That is shocking. So we can go over his background and the booking video and photos of the car and videos of the car and everything afterwards, okay? Let's quickly now switch to the press conference. Are we ready?
We're going to try to answer as many of those questions as we can. And Secretary
to the car, hearing to second, let's listen into the news conference.
Here we go.
I'm Colonel Mike Hager, Director of the Arkansas State Police and Secretary of Department of Public Safety. Appreciate you guys coming out this afternoon. We're going to just kind of go through some bullet point information, and I'm sure it's going to spawn a lot of questions. We're going to try to answer as many of those questions as we can. Want to introduce our partners. Well, actually, I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but we do have our two deputy directors, Lieutenant Colonel Mike Kennedy and Lieutenant Colonel Jason Aaron, that are with us, and I believe the rest of the people behind me will speak, and I'll let them introduce themselves. I want to start by thanking our investigators. It's hard to express the amount of time and effort and energy that goes into an investigation like this. You could see it on their face when we walked into headquarters last night, had the opportunity to see them, talk to them, thank them in person at the culmination of this. They're absolutely exhausted. They put every bit of their heart and soul into this investigation to get this suspect brought into custody and taken off the streets, and I cannot thank them enough for that. Also want to thank our law enforcement partners. We are truly blessed in Arkansas. It's not always common, and that's unfortunate, but we have a relationship with our state, local, and federal counterparts that's second to none. There was an incredible amount of cooperation and collaboration that went into this investigation. No part is less than any other's part. there's a total package that has to be looked at, has to be investigated, and these groups work together in a very impressive way, and we can't thank them enough. Not just on this case, but in every case that we work within state police, to have that partnership with them is really valuable. I want to thank the public for providing images and videos from cell phones, home and business security footage that directly advanced this investigation. We'll talk a little bit more about how that played out, but the information that was put out and the request for information back from the public directly resulted in this person being brought into custody. It allowed our investigators a starting point to move forward and to use their skills that they've developed over the years and their experience to bring this person into custody. We had about 500 tips that came in through our phone lines, social media. Not only were there a lot of tips that came in, and we're very thankful for that, but there's a lot of people that have to field those tips. And it's not all badge-wearing, gun-toting members of the state police or Department of Public Safety. We had a lot of civilian personnel that were tasked with that. There was a lot of time and energy spent on triaging those tips and making sure they went to the right people. And so we owe a great gratitude for that support staff that helped with this as well. Although everyone is innocent until proven guilty, we did confirm this morning that our suspect's DNA has been a positive match to the DNA that we suspected to belong to our suspect at the scene. During an interview with investigators, the suspect indicated that he did commit these murders. We executed a search warrant at his residence. There were articles found there that are consistent with being involved in this particular crime, and I will let Major Rhodes speak more of that, or more to those details. We do believe he acted alone. We have absolutely no reason to believe that there's anyone else involved, and we do not anticipate any future arrest or any other arrest beyond this suspect. I'm going to go ahead and pass off to Major Stacy Rhodes. She can walk through a little bit more of the information, and I'll return to the podium and we'll answer any questions we can.
That's his booking photo. So we're watching a live press conference right now.
Well, good afternoon.
And afterwards, we're going to do a deep dive into what we know about him so far. But they're sharing quite a bit here as well. So thank you so much for being here.
As he indicated, I'm Major Stacy Rhodes. I oversee the Criminal Investigation Division for the State Police. And I kind of want to walk you through how we initiated and progressed through our investigation. So as you all know, we responded to a call for service at the state parks. Two young children were found and indicated that something had happened to their parents on the trail. That initial information that came from the kids gave us our first starting point, which was a description of a suspect. There was another witness at the park that we encountered that gave us additional information about the suspect and a particular vehicle that he was seen leaving the park. With that, we took the information, completed and let me kind of, we'll start there. So from there, we had a pretty good description of our suspect. We did our initial release. Other witnesses came forward that were on the trail during the time that the murders occurred that did not see the murders, but brought forth video footage, photographs that they had taken on their day trip to the park. From that, we obtained a photo. We interviewed witnesses and were able to compile a composite sketch of what we believed our suspect looked like. With that, we received dozens and dozens of tips. With the initial vehicle information that we received, it being a black sedan, one of the initial descriptions was that it was sporty. From that, we received well over 5 or 6, close to 10 videos of this particular car from homes and businesses along the routes in and out of the park. So we were able to ascertain a pretty good description of this vehicle. So with that vehicle information, that became critical in identifying our suspect. So with the photos or the tips that came in with the composite and the photo, as the Colonel said, we received over 500 tips. And initially we were using the names and information to come out to compare with, did they have black vehicles? Did they meet a certain criteria of vehicles? But as we began to hone in on the vehicle, it became clear that it was a Kia Stinger. And we used that information to vet various owners, and our suspect was identified. And with that, we sought him out and we located him at a local barber shop there in Springdale. We took him into custody. And with
This guy was arrested mid-haircut. They didn't even get to finish it. Oh my word. And also quickly, I'm just quickly pausing to say, before I forget that, somebody had emailed me, thank you to that Grizzly, to say they're reporting it could be a Mazda, but it's actually a Kia because they could see it from some of the footage and things like that, right? Interesting. So you were right. Whoever emailed me and said you think it's a Kia, you're right.
With that, we spoke to him, and he made statements indicating that he had committed these heinous acts. And our job didn't stop there. We executed a search warrant on his house and also on the vehicle. We are still waiting a lot of testing at the crime lab. But as the Colonel said, DNA that was recovered at the initial crime scene matched his DNA that we pulled last night. Colonel, or I'm sorry.
That's him getting arrested at the barber shop.
Good afternoon. My name is Brandon Carter. I'm the prosecuting attorney for Washington County, Arkansas. The first thing I want to say here today is that my thoughts are with the Brinks family. There are 3 girls who tragically lost their parents in this case. And although today is a good day for law enforcement, there's a shadow over it because of the tragedy that occurred on Saturday. I want to commend the state police for the work they did in this case. I couldn't be more proud to be an Arkansan today. I couldn't be more proud to be a resident of Northwest Arkansas right now, and I'm confident and satisfied with the work that law enforcement did in this case. Especially, I want to note the cooperation I saw between local agencies in this case. I could name them all off, but I have a list here of 7 to 9 agencies that worked hand in hand to quickly solve this crime, and I commend every law enforcement officer that worked on this case. I also commend any member of the public that provided us information that led to the solving of this crime. I want the public to know that they're safe. The defendant in this case is innocent until he's proven guilty, but I'm confident that we have the right defendant in this case and that the public need not worry going forward. Someday they're going to open Devil's Den State Park, and I'll be on the trail myself when that happens. The defendant will be spending time in Washington County Circuit Court over the course of the coming days. It is my intention to use the full weight of my office to bring this defendant to justice for the Brinks family.
Before we open for questions, just want to touch real briefly on something that gets lost in this sometimes, and that's the family story. We've spoken to the family quite a few times over the last several days, and what we heard consistently is what a loving mother and father they were, loving husband and wife that they were towards each other. They absolutely protected those girls to their fullest extent, to the point that it cost them their lives. We're in awe of this mom and dad. We're also in awe of these girls. The information that they were able to provide to start us down this path, to be able to make this arrest. It all started with those two little girls. It's incredible. We also don't want to forget that there was a third sister. Thankfully, she was not with the family on the trail that day, but she suffered just as tragic of a loss, and we need to keep that in mind. Because of that, I would plead with you and the public to please be sensitive to the fact that there's a family that's grieving. It's hard to express, because I can't understand it, what they're going through. Misinformation hurts. Speculation hurts. When they read things, when we talked to them earlier today, they expressed that to us, that they're reading things in social media, they're reading things that are just simply not true. People are speculating, they're talking about things that are not factual, and it hurts. There's no place for that. Along those lines, we have to be very careful in an investigation to be calculated in the amount of information that we put out and when we put that out. I can tell you that this investigative team had one mission and one mission only, and that was to put hands on this suspect and to get him off the streets. And on a daily basis, we got together and we talked about what we felt like that we could put out to the public and what was going to be advantageous for us in the investigation and what could potentially be detrimental. One thing that we did not want to do is put information out that was going to take attention away from someone that we needed to look at. You have to remember all the information that we're working off of started with two little girls that witnessed the most horrific thing that you could ever imagine. That was the base of everything that we had. So we had to be careful about relying solely on that information. We had to collaborate that. We're also working in an environment that is half a mile into the woods. So by the time that we get the information from these little girls, and then we collaborate that with members from the public, they can talk, or they can, give us further information based on the suspect description and things like that, and then that leads us to a vehicle, and then that leads us somewhere else. This is not an episode of CSI, and it's not going to be wrapped up in a 1-hour episode. It takes hours and hours to develop that information, corroborate that information, and know that it's good information, and know that it's something that we can put out. The last thing that we want to be responsible for is putting information out that's going to hinder the investigation or hinder someone's their likelihood of calling us and putting us onto a suspect that we need to be looking at, because it didn't meet all the markers that we thought it should meet. So I hope you can be understanding of that, and I hope as we move forward from here that the speculation and a lot of the talk and a lot of the chatter, especially on social media, that people will be very sensitive to that. This family's been through enough, and they don't deserve to be victimized any further than they already are. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Colonel,
Yes.
can you elaborate more on what was the reason behind this? What was the motive for this? Was this random, or what happened there? And what was the cause of death? How were they killed?
As far as the motive is concerned, it's part of the investigation. It's two parts. The first part of the investigation is always going to be to identify and apprehend the suspect. The second part of the investigation is a lot of the whys and a lot of the details. That's still a part of the investigation. I can tell you that we have no reason to believe that there was any known association between our suspect and our victims. There's nothing to indicate that at all. It appears to be a completely random event. As far as the weapon that was used, it was a knife. Our victims died by stab wounds. Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Colonel. We've spoken to a few parents from students who he was their teacher in different states, and they all kind of gave the synopsis of perhaps he was a predator. Their children felt like he preyed on younger aged girls during his time teaching in those states. We were wondering, have you been exploring any connections to the crimes that McGann may have been connected with, and any indication that this was his first time committing this? Was he after those girls? Were those his target?
From what we know right now, we have no indication to suggest that the girls were his target.
He knew this was his first time, but he just went to that park that one time that day. I heard potentially somebody suspicious could have been there the weekend before. Was he just that first time at the park, or do you think he was laying out and calculating?
Honestly, that would be pure speculation on my part. Now that we have our suspect in custody, there's going to be a part of the investigation that's going to go back, and they're going to look at timelines, and they're going to look at kind of his movements leading up to that, and hopefully that will give us all a better picture of why he did this, how long he had planned this, things like that. But right now, that's all part of the investigation, and it would simply be speculation on our part.
I believe he was injured as well. Can you elaborate on that during the attacks?
Yes, he was injured. I do not know the specifics of those injuries. I do know that his injuries resulted in blood loss, and it was that blood loss that allowed us to establish a DNA profile to begin with, and it was that DNA profile that was matched today against our suspect.
I would assume that's any loving parent trying to do whatever they could to protect their loved ones.
Absolutely. I would say you're correct. Yes,
You
ma'am.
mentioned some articles found in the house. What was found?
Stacy.
So if you'll remember the photo that was of the back of our suspect, we did find items that were consistent with what was seen in that photograph.
Was the weapon there?
Well, we don't know that it's the weapon, but we did collect some knives from the residence. We won't know until we test it, obviously.
The arrest itself, did he resist? Was he easygoing? What did that look like?
No, he was completely cooperative.
Can you speak on the terrain, the area that the victims were found in regards to the girls getting to safety to get help? What kind of time frame that would look like for two girls? Was it a rough terrain? Was it something that another person found them within an hour? Or can you speak on that?
So I don't know that we can speak on to the time frame, but the terrain was what you would see in a typical park. I don't know that it was particularly rugged, but it had some inclines. It was fairly maintained, but it was, our estimation was about a half a mile into the park. So you can imagine how long that would take to get out.
One more question. We had heard reports. Can you confirm that the father was stabbed first, the mother took the kids back into the car for safety, went back to help her husband, and then she died too?
So the information that we have is that the husband was attacked first. The mother did not return all the way to the car with the kids. We believe that the mother took them to safety and then returned to help her husband.
And I know you all said that the suspect, I believe, indicated that he had committed these acts. Any more specifics on what he may have said since his arrest?
We're not going to comment on that at this point. It wouldn't be fair to the continuing investigation.
And then I assume this would be for maybe more the prosecuting attorney, but do you know yet if you'll pursue the death penalty in this case or what kind of consequences you might seek?
This case certainly has the aggravators that exist where a jury should get to decide what the punishment for this defendant is. It is my intention to pose that to a jury. So the state will not be waiving the death penalty in this case.
The family member said that they want you to seek the death penalty.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Did he indicate he plans to plead guilty to this?
Defendant's innocent until proven guilty at arraignment. I anticipate he will plead not guilty as is custom. I don't know that there's a defense attorney in the United States of America that would allow a defendant to appear at their first appearance and plead guilty. So it is much, much too early to visit about that.
Has he indicated he's going to seek a public defender, has a private attorney or anything like that?
I'm not aware that a private attorney has been retained yet. If he can't afford a private attorney, I anticipate our local public defender's office will be appointed.
I know that y'all spoke that Devil's Den will be closed for the time being, but what about other state parks and the concerns of family and tourists?
Yeah, as far as the question of the state parks being open, I would ask that you send that to Secretary Shea Lewis and his team. I'm not sure, honestly. I don't know what the decision is on that at this point. As far as the safety of our public visiting those state parks, I would say it's absolute as it can be. I mean, it's not like we have a pattern of people being assaulted or attacked in our state parks. You're probably much more likely to be assaulted getting gas at a convenience store on the way home if you look at statistics. So to echo the prosecutor's comments, I would not hesitate to go to a state park today.
I know you're still looking into it, Stacy, but have you found any more information about background? Last time you recently moved to the Springdale area. Do you have more information you can share? And just before we let Springdale Mr. What else can you tell us?
So, I don't have a whole lot. Some of that we will look into. I can just tell you that we found that he lived in Texas and also Oklahoma and had recently moved here and had taken employment as a teacher. It doesn't sound like he was ever an actual teacher in Arkansas, but that he was a teacher in other locations. Right now we're completely focused on our case here, and we haven't explored any of that background investigation. I fully expect that other jurisdictions will probably reach out to us to see if they have if there are cases throughout the U.S. that may be connected to him. I fully expect that.
But as of right now, he's the only suspect. He's not a suspect in any other incidents here in our area.
That's correct. Not that we've been made aware of. That's for sure.
And recently, he moved here a few weeks ago, a few months.
I believe it's been a few months. Yes, sir.
Major, can you clarify? You say he made statements indicating that he had killed them. Did he flat out confess, or what exactly did he say?
So I was not actually in the room when he was confessing, so I'm not going to speak to, I certainly don't want to get that wrong, but just know that he did indicate that he had committed the murders.
Would you I guess, would you call it a confession, or you don't know for sure?
I would call it an admission.
Does the suspect have any sort of criminal history that you all know of?
No, he did not. Not any adult criminal history that we've been able to find, for sure.
Did he indicate why Springdale's not that far from the state park, any indication why he, for 5 days, stayed so close to the scene, or was he planning on fleeing the area or the state at some point?
There was no indication that he was going to flee the area. He actually had a residence in Springdale, so that's why he was in the area. But he gave it doesn't sound like he was making any attempts to conceal. He didn't conceal his car or any of those things. Yes, ma'am?
Any history of mental illness?
Not that we know. We're still exploring. We just took him into custody last night, so we're still, vetting a lot of the information that we don't know about him to this point.
How did police pinpoint him at the barbershop?
Good old-fashioned police work.
Was there any technology used or that aided in the investigation?
Absolutely.
Can you elaborate on that? Like, were there any license plate readers or anything that gave a tip to where he was at that point in time? Or?
I'll just say this, that there's rarely a case that we work that doesn't include those types of things, so we used everything. When I say that it was all hands on deck and there was no stone left unturned, it involved all of those technological aspects.
with the high volume of tips that came in, can you elaborate on how you sort of knew which ones to look into?
So we had a really good filtering system, and we are aware initially there were some issues with tips and the phone system that we had in place at that time. Once we implemented the tips line, we had a team around the clock filtering through those, and we had a pretty good matrix of the ones that we would push to the top and the ones that we would term a lower priority. So it's, but most of, if we got indication that it involved video, photographs, a first-hand account at the park, those were our priorities.
And I understand that every case is different, but you, for many years, investigated the worst crimes. Is this typical? A random crime like this, and a person goes back and gets a haircut in the same car?
Nothing about this case is what I would call conventional. In my 27 years that I've been with the state police, this is probably one of the most heinous that we've had, especially the aspect of just how random it was. It's when we were talking last night in the command center that it was every agent's worst nightmare, because in a typical investigation we use what we call victimology, and you can usually kind of pinpoint something that a victim has done or the circumstances they're in, whether it's a domestic violence or just drug related. You can typically narrow down your suspect pool. We had no way to do that in this case, so it made it particularly difficult, and what makes the work by our agents so extraordinary. Yes, ma'am.
Was the suspect trying to change his identity at all?
We don't have any indication that he was doing that. He was obviously getting a haircut, but you could chalk that up to school starts next week. So, but he didn't indicate he was trying to alter that I'm aware of, that he was trying to alter his identity.
And you all mentioned that he was cooperative when you got to the barber shop. Any other initial reaction from him when you all showed up? Anything you could tell us?
That's probably best that I not discuss that so early in the investigation to this point.
Can you speak on the role of social media in helping bring about the arrest of this suspect?
I will say that social media did nothing to help our investigation. I would say that it absolutely hindered our investigation. As you heard the Colonel mention, the hurt and the just the emotional toil that social media gave to that family. It's so easy to be that keyboard warrior and question everything that law enforcement is doing. And I would just simply say that let us do our job. If you've got a tip, give it to us. Don't spread it on social media unless you're an expert. And if you're an expert, you're probably not on social media.
One of the first details that you'll put out about the car was there was tape covering the license plate. Was that the case with his vehicle, and any reason why? Was he trying intentionally to cover up the license plate? Yes, he did use tape to conceal some of the things that would help identify his vehicle. Yes, ma'am.
Does that lead you to believe at all that he's done this before?
There are indications. I mean, everyone speculates that he took there was a lot of thought that went into this to conceal his identity. I will say that, but on the other side of that, he was also very sloppy. So whether he committed something else, we don't know, but we are certainly going to explore that.
How long between when you determined that he was the suspect that you were looking for and when you made the arrest? How long did that take?
Within the hour.
How long between when he began questioning until he confessed?
I don't know that, I'm sorry.
I think we're just going to take a couple more questions. Anyone else?
Can you speak on which agencies and how many officers that were involved?
Oh, so in any agency that I missed, the Colonel may have included this. I can tell you that The FBI was instrumental, the Washington County Sheriff's Office, the Fayetteville Police Department, just about every agency up there, the Benton County Sheriff's Office with their flock cameras, the Park Service, the Game and Fish. Who am I leaving out? Springdale, absolutely instrumental. They had a detective embedded with us from the very beginning, and anybody else? And just dozens of detectives that were all hands on deck, working round the clock to make sure that we made an arrest. The community deserved that, and that's what we gave them.
And moving forward, the different agencies in supporting these kids, I mean, loss of both of their parents, if there's anything that you want to touch on with that.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
I said moving forward and supporting the kids after the loss of their parents, like if there's anything that you want to say on that with the different agencies that were involved.
Colonel, you probably better answer that question.
I'm not sure if I understood the question exactly, but I can tell you that Governor Sanders has been in contact with the family multiple times. She's expressed the absolute heartbreak of the state, the support and the prayers that that family will receive, not only from her and her family, but from the state of Arkansas. In addition to that, she's made available any resource that family needs during this recovery process from state agencies, whether that be law enforcement or other type of support agencies. I can also tell you from someone myself that has spoken with the family multiple times, they're an incredibly strong family, and they have a very, very strong family support in place. I have no doubt that those three girls are going to be well taken care of, and they're going to get everything they need from that family. And they also know that if they have a need that we can assist with, we being the state of Arkansas, any type of state public entity, then we will absolutely do that.
Lastly, I know while the investigation is ongoing, you're conducting an internal review. We'll see could things be done better when it comes to call transfers and information being released. Am I correct? Can you talk to me about that?
Yes, we will always, after any significant incident, we'll debrief it, and we'll look at what we did right, what we did wrong, what we could do better. I can tell you from our vantage point right now, it's hard for me to be critical of anything that our investigators did. They have, you know this, I know these guys, I know our capabilities, but you forget, honestly, until you see it play out. You see the level of expertise and skill. Cannot say enough about our investigators, and not only the skill set that they use to bring this suspect to justice, but just they put everything into it, their heart and soul. I mean, it was an impressive thing to watch, and so of what we could do better, I'm sure there'll be things. Y'all have heard me say it before, our agency is comprised of human beings, and we're always going to make mistakes, and there's going to be things that we can fine tune, but from my vantage point right now, I have nothing but gratitude and respect for our investigators and the way this was handled.
Colonel, one more question. Can you confirm when you spoke to him after the arrest that this was not, he didn't know them, he didn't know the family at all, this was just a pure accidental coincidence that he targeted them?
I can confirm that, and again, as Major Rhodes said, I was not present for the interview, and I've not listened to the interview yet. But I can confirm that we have absolutely no indication, no reason whatsoever to believe that there was any connection at all between our suspect and our victims.
I've got one more. Can you elaborate on the role that the FBI and federal law enforcement held in the investigation?
Yeah, so the first thing I can tell you is how blessed we are with their partnership. The prosecutor and the major both mentioned all the agencies that were involved. What's always nice about that is they don't wait on us to call them. As soon as this was known, as soon as it was made public, honestly, I don't know how they found out as quick as they did. My phone started ringing off the wall from our special agent in charge of FBI in Little Rock, from the sheriffs in the northwest part of Arkansas, the police chiefs in that area, HSI, you name it, just about every agency that you can think of immediately reached out to us for any support that we needed. I cannot specifically tell you what roles they played, but I can tell you that they played significant roles. There was, as the Major alluded to, there's part of the investigation that is looking at this from the standpoint that it's completely random. There's another part of the investigation that has to close the loophole of is there a connection at all between our suspect and our victims. And unfortunately in this case, our victims had recently moved here. Their origins are from California. They, I believe, lived in North Dakota most recently. So there's a lot of geographical space and a lot of people that had to be talked to. And we leaned heavily on not only our state and local partners, but other state and local, and absolutely our federal partners.
I'm just curious about the communication challenges out there. I know you can't get cell service when we go out there.
Right.
I mean, how much did that affect the response, and how did that affect the investigation?
Yes. The answer to that question is yes. It was very challenging. The fact that we did not have cell service and our investigators didn't have cell service, that other campers on the trail didn't. So, again, it kind of goes back to the type of information that was coming in, the amount of information that was coming in, and the time lapse of the information that was coming in. It all factored in. To say this is an unusual crime scene, unusual crime in just about every aspect, it was extremely challenging. And all of those things came into play, from lack of cell service to the terrain itself.
I think one more, and then we're going to wrap up.
Yes, ma'am.
Are the kids enrolled anywhere near the school that he was going to teach at?
I don't know the answer to that. I know the kids are with the family right now, but I don't know the answer to that. Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, wow.
All right, you've been listening for the last 40 minutes.
Okay, so I'm just going to leave that going there because I've got some other footage to show you from there. Now we've got lots of things to talk about. Thank you so much all for being here. That was a very comprehensive press conference. There's not any reason actually for me to show you the original press conference because they hardly shared any information there. I think the reason that they're so upset about the social media aspect is because, remember in part 1 when we were busy with the manhunt, and I was telling you guys, please stop saying names in the chat. People were posting pictures of some other registered SO and saying, this is the guy, this is the guy. Don't do that. There was no information on that. And what if it is the guy and he sees that and he flees? You know what I mean? And then people on YouTube interviewed witnesses. I think a dispatcher or someone is saying now that the dispatch operator who went on the podcast was fired yesterday, rightly so. And the barber did not call. She didn't know what was happening. And Gully Sinatra said, I noticed that one YouTube channel who had the video of the car, plus interviewing the guy who took the video, had his video taken down. And that is what, if you didn't see the first press conference, I'll link it for you. There was one moment where they were calling out social media already of being like, we literally told you, do not share information like that online. Share it with us. Give us the tip. And, some people think, I don't know. If I'm like, please don't do that, I don't know. People are like, why? And people were emailing it to me, being like, here you go, you could show everyone the car. I'm not going to do that. Give it to the police. Give it to the police. And so they said that was a huge risk that the suspect would flee. So yeah, it sounds like there was some consequences there, but I understand why now they're very salty about the social media aspect, because unfortunately that makes a bad name for everyone. You know what I mean? But anyway, thank you all for being here, for liking, for sharing, for being, if you're local as well and you were sharing all the information, the flyers, the everything, thank you so much. Okay, we know that social media can help, it just has to be done right. You know what I mean? Okay, so let me quickly, thank you by the way all for your stickers and everything. Let's quickly go now to a lot that we know about the suspect, as much as possible, right? So we know about the timeline, right? July 26th, this couple went hiking. Clinton and Cristen Brink went hiking at the Devil's Den State Park. I'm going to show you the map as well to show you where the barbershop was, where he was staying, and where the Devil's Den State Park was. in relation to that. But first, let's quickly look at, this happened on July 26th of 2025, a Saturday. This mom, dad, and their 2 kids, they actually had 3 kids, they said at the press conference today, but the one sister was at home, okay? So it's a family going on a hike because they just arrived in the area about 2 to 3 weeks before. They're excited to move there. The dad's going to start his new job. I think he was going to deliver milk on Monday, July 28th. They're exploring nature in their surroundings, and then the dad gets stabbed. The mother tells the girls, run, run. And apparently she runs a little bit with them and then goes back, as they confirmed at the press conference today, goes back to try to help her husband, and she gets stabbed as well. And then they're crying out for help because the girls went to the visitor center. They got someone to call 911. They said someone attacked our parents and now they're missing. Someone then called 911, well, the EMS, right? They went out there, they were listening out for them. They were shouting, help, help, because there's no cell service. And when they got to them, they were dead. That is so frightening and so sad. So then they released this image, composite sketch of the suspect, and the image that you see there of who they said was the suspect from behind, wearing a ball cap, and then a shirt. Now, we were all wondering what is going on at the back there. Is it like one of those camel packs? Is it what? But somebody sent me a picture. Thank you. I think it was Julia, something like that. I'm so sorry. I must have, I'm telling you, like 550 emails on this case alone. So that picture is of a North Face shirt. And if you actually zoom in like this, you can actually see it, because at first I'm like, I don't know about that. But if you zoom in, you can actually see the red border and you can see the details of the mountains and everything. So good job. Whoa, to the person who sent me that, I think it is a North Face long-sleeved shirt. And so they released this composite sketch. They said the suspect may have been injured in the attack. So that already tells us, oh, that's how now, based on what we heard now at the press conference, they already had the DNA from probably, that's how they said. He was probably injured, so there must have been blood evidence of his injuries, maybe as he walked as well. And they took that evidence and they had that DNA on file. Then when they found the dude with the car that was parked outside the barbershop, they went inside the barbershop on July 30th and said, hey, is that your car outside? And he said, yes. Yeah, that's my car. And then they arrested him. Then they took a buckle swab. They didn't say that now, but I mean, we can just read between the lines. A buckle swab, and they would compare the blood evidence at the scene that didn't belong to the victims, as well as the buckle swab, and that was now a match, right? Rob says, thank you for your excellent coverage, G. Justice for the victims. Thank you, Rob. Yes, I hope so. Okay, so they had that. And then the suspect was described as wearing a long sleeve shirt with sleeves rolled up rather than a tank top and all of that, right? An unknown white male with medium build, dark pants, dark ball caps, sunglasses. The suspect had a black backpack, was wearing fingerless gloves. He was seen driving toward a park exit in a black 4-door sedan. The suspect's vehicle may have been a Mazda. They said today it was actually a Kia Stinger. Hold on. A Kia Stinger. But he had tape over the license plate, so he was trying to conceal that, at least. What a dumbass, really. So that's what they said, right? And they may have been traveling on State Highway 170 or State Highway 220. That's what they thought. Is he going north or south somewhere? They're leaving Devil's Den State Park. Now, July 30th, 2025, which was yesterday, last night there in Arkansas, early this morning, for me, I got hundreds of emails about this. Thank you so much for keeping me in the know. Here's a picture that was initially released of the guy, and on the right is his booking photo. And they said Arkansas special agents with the Arkansas State Police have arrested Andrew James McGann. Initially, the ASP called him James Andrew McGann, and so they corrected it later by saying, whoops, sorry, his name is actually Andrew James McGann, 28 years old, of Springdale, Arkansas, in connection to a double homicide that occurred on Saturday, July 26th of 2025 at Devil's Den State Park. He was taken into custody at 4:57 p.m. on Wednesday, July 30th at a business in Springdale. He was charged with 2 counts of capital murder. Now, he could face the death penalty, for these crimes. And they said they wouldn't be surprised if he committed other crimes before. Wow, okay. So charged with 2 counts of capital murder, and he's being held at the Washington County Jail on no bond. So here's the pictures of him, and here is the composite sketch. I saw online, and I saw in my inbox that quite a few people have said, holy crap, like immediately he looks like the bridge guy sketch, the young guy in Delphi, Indiana, the case, right? The Delphi case. People, when they saw this picture, they're like, oh my word, that's the young bridge guy. I mean, he does look quite a bit like him. Thank you. I've seen your emails. I've seen the post on X. I mean, Yeah, he looks more like that sketch than this sketch. But anyway, they did their very best with what they saw that day. And here's his booking photo. Mid-haircut. Shame, shame, shame. Okay, so he's 6 foot tall and weighs 180 pounds. Yeah, okay, so that's what we know about him so far. And then let's look at his background. This is the most shocking, is that he was actually a school teacher. This guy was a school teacher. Oh my word. Okay, so firstly, he was arrested on July 30th, 2025 at a barber shop. They showed footage of that throughout the press conference. If I didn't say that, that's what I was intending to say a few minutes ago. They showed it repeatedly during this press conference, so I'm sure you've seen it now. And so they said Adriana Ruiz Avalos was the hairdresser, and she said, so I'm cutting a guy's hair and I'm shaking because now there's cops and detectives. Told them I haven't swept up the hair in case they needed, and they 100 said they did. Y'all, I'm shaking, mostly because it's starting to look like it could be the man they're looking for, but not too sure yet. And then she said, update, it was possibly him. Y'all, I could have possibly cut the Devil's Den killer's hair. He left effed up though. I barely started the fade. Oh my word. She's very lucky to be alive, I think, based on just how this guy operates, right? But also, how scary is that to be like, okay, sir, how can I cut your hair today? And then it turns out like, wait, what? This is the guy they're looking for? They killed the couple, accused of killing the couple at Devil's Den State Park. So detectives entered the salon from both front and rear entrances, identified McGann, and confirmed his identity by asking if the black sedan parked outside was his. We actually have some clips of that, so we'll go to that in a moment as well. So he was initially reported as James Andrew McGann due to an error by the Arkansas State Police. He was a school teacher. So Andrew James McGann was a school teacher who'd recently moved to Arkansas from Oklahoma. That's a picture of him on the right-hand side, apparently on Hinge, which I think is a dating app. I'm not sure, but yeah. Wow, look at him there. He's ripping through I hype myself up by ripping through my favorite playlist. Julie said, on behalf of Arkansas, we love GTC. First heard it here. Oh, thank you so much. And so he was hired as a teacher candidate for the upcoming school year at Springdale Public Schools, but had not yet started working with students or families. Previously, he worked as a 5th grade teacher at Spring Creek Elementary in Broken Arrow Public Schools District in Oklahoma during the 2023-2024 school year, resigning to take a job out of state. He passed legally required background checks prior to his employment in Oklahoma. Someone says, that's his Hinge photo? Allegedly. Now, Sierra Markham told the Associated Press that 3 years ago, her son was a student at McGann's 4th grade classroom in Flower Mound, Texas. She described him as the most standoff teacher she'd ever met. Her son's yearbook includes a photo of McGann. Pretty cold. You could ask him a question and he would give you a one-word response, she said. Overall, just pretty disinterested in his students. Whoa. I wouldn't imagine this guy's a teacher. So he graduated from the Oklahoma State University, and his first job was teaching in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma schools from 2022 to 2023. He's 28 years old now, right? He was a teacher in Texas, Oklahoma, in multiple states, and just hired in Arkansas. 2023 to 2024, he was a teacher at Donald Elementary in Flower Mound, Texas. He resigned in 2023. We're going to get to why. And then 2024 to 2025, he was a teacher in Sand Springs, Oklahoma schools. June of 2025, he was listed as a teacher at Bayari Elementary within the Springdale, Arkansas school system. Oh my. And so Springdale, Arkansas schools confirmed that, Andrew McGann was recently hired. He was supposed to be starting this week, which is why they say he probably was getting a haircut, right? So 2023 to 2024, he was a teacher at Donald Elementary in Flower Mound, Texas. And so Brooke Taylor, a media reporter, says, I spoke to the mother of a former student of the suspected murderer accused of killing a couple in Arkansas while on a hiking trail with their 2 daughters. James Andrew James McGann, worked in Texas for Louisville ISD as an elementary school teacher in 2023. A mother of one of his former 4th grade students said her son came home complaining that McGann was inappropriate with the girl students. Oh my goodness. Inappropriate with a girl student, so she filed a complaint with the superintendent. As a result, parents received a letter from the district that he was placed on administrative leave while the school investigated complaints of poor classroom management and poor professional judgment. The investigation found no evidence of inappropriate behavior with the student, but they did find classroom management and professional judgment to be below the district's expectations, according to the letter. Shortly after, McGann resigned. He then worked as an elementary school teacher in Oklahoma until he resigned in May to move to Arkansas, where he was set to become a teacher in Springdale for the upcoming school year, according to the district. Yeah, that cat knows something's not right with this guy, right? So 2023 to 2024, again, I just put it there because it's linked to what we're looking at, right? So it says he was at the Donald Elementary in Flower Mound, Texas. To the families of students in Mr. McGann's classes, I need to make you aware of a situation impacting your students' classes. Mr. McGann was placed on administrative leave last week while we investigated complaints of poor classroom management and poor professional judgment. I want to be very clear that while our investigation did not find any evidence of inappropriate behavior with the student, we did find his classroom management and his professional judgment to be below our district's expectations. I also want to share with you that the families of the students directly involved did receive communication from our administrative team as part of the investigation. Mr. McGann on Wednesday afternoon notified our Human Resources Department of his decision to resign his position effective immediately. We will have a substitute teacher in his class for the rest of the school year. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns. I appreciate your support of our campus. So that was at Donald Elementary. But that seems to be a bit of a pattern now. Resigning a lot, moving a lot, different states, different schools. And here, ironically, he had posted on social media that, by the way, the Lupita's Beauty Salon in the background is where he was arrested, the barbershop in Arkansas, right? But he posted on social media, my favorite thing to do in my free time is exercise, specifically running. I played football, baseball, and rugby in high school, so I love sports. I've heard there are some runners in the Dolphin family, so show me where the good trails are at, since I'm in need of a go-to running trail. Well, that did not age well, hey? That was not in Arkansas, but still, just being like, oh my word, show me where the good trails are. And then you're accused of murdering a couple on some good trails in Arkansas too. So what else did you do on trails? You know what I mean? Wow. Okay, so this also says, hello, my name is Andrew McGann. I'm very excited to join the Dolphin family as a 4th grade math and writing teacher. I graduated from Oklahoma State University, go Pokes, in May with a BS in elementary education. I've been a substitute for the past 2 years in Tulsa County, Oklahoma, and a student teacher for the spring of 2022 semester in Broken Arrow Public Schools in a 4th grade math and science classroom. This is a year of firsts for me. First year teaching, first year in LISD, and first year living in Texas. Wow. Okay, so the Arkansas State Police, with the assistance from the FBI and local law enforcement, they said they relied heavily on public tips, including video and photo footage from park visitors and local resident security cameras. So to everyone who followed their instructions, didn't post it on social media, actually called in the tip line, and even though the tip line changed along the way, which locals made me aware of, I pinned the comment in the community post, and I pinned another comment on my live stream to be like, oh, okay, the tip line's now not working, and now they've got a new tip line. Okay, so it wasn't that anymore. Anyway, no matter what, even if the tip line doesn't work, then call 911. They'll put you through to the right place or whatever it is. You can't just post it on social media, right? They were very clear about that. So they did say they relied heavily on public tips, including video and photo footage from park visitors and local resident security cameras. A composite sketch and photo of the person of interest showing a man from behind were released on July 29th, and that aided in his identification. Tips came as far as Washington State, and Major Stacy Rhodes, ASP Criminal Investigation Division Commander, noted that public assistance was instrumental in McGann's capture, and oftentimes social media will be a helpful part of that process, right? In this case, they said it hurt, and I can understand why they feel that way about it, because there were things that were put out there that should not have been put out there. So they said officials stress that any images, and they said this day one at the press conference, they stress any images or videos should be sent directly to the police and not posted on social media to avoid interfering with the investigation. And what did people do? They posted it on social media. Why did they do such a thing? I don't know. But anyway, there was the tip line and all of that. Let's just see if there's another slide. Oh yeah, justice for Cristen and Clinton Brink. I mean, who would ever think you could go on a hike with your daughters in a beautiful new area at this popular state park. You're hiking on a Saturday afternoon, and this guy dressed all in black, long sleeves and everything, dressed way too hot for the weather, stabs you? That is just unthinkable. I mean, yeah, I'll never stop saying that people say carry a gun. I get it. Carry protection, carry whatever you can. Pepper spray, whether it's a gun, whether it's some kind of defense, something, just to buy yourself some time. It could really help, right? Oh, shame, man. So yeah, I really hope there will be justice for them. I do want to show you some stuff now. Let's do some map time. Okay, and we are back. It's been a while since we played that song, hey? Okay, so let's have a look at the map here quickly. Because I'm sure we were all interested in, wait, where did this guy go? Which direction? What happened? So the Devil's Den State Park is over here. We looked at this before because they said the couple was found on the lower level, right? And so, shame, man. Okay, so this is the Devil's Den State Park, and they said that the person either went north or south, right? So I think they thought he went either this way or on this 170 road. But now if we look, he actually lives north of there, and it is about, let me just see how far it is, to this Pinecrest, in this Pinecrest Street area in Springdale. That's around the area where he lives based on public record, and it's about an hour away, 56 minutes or so to the barbershop. So even maybe 45 to 50 minutes to get to where he was staying, allegedly, according to what the police have released, right? And so that's where his house was. And here's the Lupita's Beauty Salon or Barbershop, which is very close to where he lived, which is why he lived in the area. That was where he went to cut his hair. So that makes sense, right? But wow, that would mean on that Saturday then, and some people have said on social media, so take it with a grain of salt, but that he may have been there, that they saw him there when they were hiking the day before, the week before, even some of them saying that in the days afterwards. So I don't know what on earth was going on there, if he's just waiting for the school year to start and just going on drives down here and going on hikes, clearly with not good intentions, dressed like that, armed like that, like what is happening? Kate Matthews said, love that his booking photo looks stupid with a half hair cutty. Thank you for all your hard work, G. Thank you so much. Yeah, he had a half haircut there. Yes, he did. Okay, so let me see here. This is the booking video that they have now released as well. Let's quickly go here. I mean, I wonder if I could, they've got all sorts of weird angles going on here with this booking video, but we'll do our best. There's no sound for this one. So here you can see him here getting booked after he was, arrested there at the barbershop. There's also a video of that when he arrives at the barbershop, when he's arrested at the barbershop, and when they take his car. So I'll go there after this as well. Okay. Caroline Madrid said, came to YouTube as soon as I saw the headline, knowing you would have it covered, and your short was waiting at the top. Thanks, G. Thank you so much. Okay, so there he is. It's not the most exciting video, but I mean, it is. We don't often get to see them, booking them. Sometimes we do, not often. If it's not Florida, we don't often get to see things. So I'm grateful for any video footage that they are able to show us at this point. Now, at the press conference, they said that he has made an admission that he committed those murders. So it sounds like a confession, but they didn't want to call it that. So that he admitted he committed the murders, but they do expect him to plead not guilty. Okay, see, so he's just sitting there really, and off he walks. Okay, so we have that one, and then here's the video. This is a very short clip of inside the barbershop. So they're taking pictures there of the hair on the floor, as you can see.
A suspect in a Devil's Den double homicide is now behind.
Sorry, there was just something that just automatically started playing. Stop that. Okay, this is one of his vehicle being taken away. So there's the vehicle, the suspect's vehicle, as you can see there. Evidence markers on it already. Okay. So we've got that. So my goodness. And then let's quickly see if I can find that other footage. There's also a GoFundMe, by the way, for the family. If you type in, I'll put it in the description box as well. Let me just show it to you while we're here. It says to help raise funds to lay Clinton and Cristen to rest. So let's just see who organized it. It says Sherry Reed, organizer, right? So it says many of you have heard the horrific tragedy that took place at Devil's Den State Park in Arkansas yesterday. During an outing with his family, Clinton Brink, the son of my dear cousin Carrie, and his wife Cristen were taken from us. He was a son, a brother, a nephew, an uncle, a cousin, a loving husband to Cristen Brink, and an amazing father. Okay, so if you want to read all of this, shame, man, this poor couple, my goodness. And they're just excited to start their new life in a new town. So I'll link this for you if you do want to check that out. That was actually, this is where we were. Hold on one second. I just want to refresh this page because it was actually on here. Wait for it. Let's put the sound off for a second here. Oh, wow. Okay, wait. Ah.
Couple of folks that she was.
Okay, so now we've gone through the timeline and everything we can knowing about him. Now let's go look at some of these clips because News 5, which is the local news there in Arkansas, right? Thank you to everyone who sent me all the local news as well. I really appreciate it. This is where he was arrested. And I mean, the police saw his car outside and they were like, dude, is that your car? Yup. Yeah, okay, you're arrested. Buckle swabs, matching blood at the scene. Wow. Okay, so they also found articles at his apartment, which later they said would be like clothing, probably in the backpack, like what we saw in the picture, and knives as well. So that's interesting. But there's, in this live stream that News 5 had waiting for the press conference, they had lots of interesting video clips and things. So I'm going to show you a few of them now.
Trying to interview, they would not go on camera, that he did live at the address there. Confirmed a huge police presence from 6 o'clock until 11 o'clock last night. And so this is now where what we're seeing here is the news video from the salon where the arrest was made last night. Here's what the stylist had to say after what happened last night.
I just want to start off first by saying my condolences to the Brink family. My thoughts and prayers are with you all. I couldn't sleep last night thinking about them. And they'll always be in my heart to imagine those little girls. When I saw him, he looked pretty normal. Something did feel off about him. I noticed I was in the break room heating up my food for lunch, and I noticed a black car pulled up. The doors open, so I would see who would pull up. I came back up here, and I noticed the guy just standing over here. As soon as I saw him, something fell off about him. He looked pretty scary. He didn't look like he was okay. He was very timid. He was always with his head down, long hair covering his face. But I didn't want to speak up yesterday after seeing the photos because anything can change from when those pictures were taken, and he looked to be a lot slimmer. But as soon as I saw the pictures, I'm like, that's him. He just looked slimmer. Like I said, he was on the run. He probably didn't eat or, took care of himself. He looked pretty confused. I don't know how to describe it. I saw him. His eyes just looked sunken. Pretty kind of like soulless is what I could describe. He didn't want anything cut from the top of his head. He wanted to hide his face. He just wanted a fade on the sides. He didn't really know what he wanted, so I kind of explained to him what kind of haircut would go well with him, with what he had. Yeah, he just didn't want to touch anything from the top. Well, I was about 5 minutes into the haircut when a man pulled up, and asking about whose car that was outside, and that's when he would tell him, you know, I believe this is your car, and he didn't really, he just stood quiet. I guess he felt kind of scared.
Can you point it?
As soon as I saw the stickers of, you know, the evidence and stuff, I knew something was wrong, and I asked if it was if it could be related to the Devil's Den incident, and they said it could have been. Yeah, it's been overwhelming. I've never been in a situation like this, so I just couldn't stop thinking about the little girls that saw his face. He's pretty scary, dark sunken eyes, but it feels like it's too much. I could only imagine the family, the Brink family, what they're going through. I saw the black car and I saw him. I'm like, okay, a couple things start checking out, but the way that he looked, it's what gave me the chills. Reading his name? Yes, also with not wanting to write his name to sign in.
Oh.
I will say.
Ew, he did not want to write his name down when he signed in. Is that so? Pulled up in the car. I wonder if the duct tape was now removed, probably from the license plate. Like, what? But yeah, the police saw that car and they're like, They were obviously watching him, you know, I'm sure they had their eyes on him for quite some time. But yeah, following him, who knew he'd get arrested at a hair salon, right?
Just anyone take caution. You know, these people can be among us. I would never realize that you could have someone in your chair that has done these horrible things, and just, you know, really be on the lookout and keep an open mind, and, you know, just try and be safe.
Okay, so.
My goodness.
They show us video here of him arriving. I think I could narrate this, hold on. We could play it. Of him arriving at the hair salon, which was right before he was arrested. Lupita's Beauty Salon and Barbershop in his area, near to where his home is. So check this one out.
We do know that he was about to start as a teacher at Springdale Schools, so maybe he was getting a haircut before orientation, which I think was today for teachers. Or, you know, like she said, trying to cover his face, maybe a disguise. But this is, yeah, video of him inside the salon.
I'm trying to look at his hands. Are you also, because they said he could have been injured in the attack. I wonder if his left hand there is, if he's keeping it in his pocket. I don't know, let's have a look.
We don't have just yet, and we're working to get right now, is the arrest. Now, you heard the stylist say that he was there 5, maybe 6 or 7 minutes when someone pulled up and said, whose car is this? And we're waiting to get, right now we're working to get video of the actual arrest itself. And
which they did get.
Or him.
They did get it. So let's go like this. Okay, so it's gonna be here.
And here's the video of him actually being arrested. And I'm assuming this is state police or Washington County Sheriff's deputies that have come into that salon and
got some plainclothes police officers there. Excuse me, is that your car? Yeah, it's my car. Okay, you're under arrest, right? Someone says, this was random. My cat's name is Karen. This was random? Yeah, that's what they're saying. No known connection between him and the couple that he attacked. My goodness.
Then put McGann under arrest. And he'll be taken, you'll see him being taken out. Of course, it doesn't show a lot of emotion here. It doesn't show a lot of no resistance at all.
She said in her Facebook post too that, well, as she said in the interview as well, it was just a few minutes in, and when they came in, he seemed to know why they were there.
Shame, look at her run. Did you see her? She's like, oh my word. Run, just like, can you imagine realizing who was sitting in your chair? You were about to cut his hair. She only just started.
He didn't resist or have any questions for them.
We're going to work on getting some more of this video as well. We're also trying to get some video as well of of him going into the Washington County Jail, being the intake in the Washington County Jail.
Which we saw that as well. Okay, so we've got that. Let's just see, because they were showing things beforehand, and then it was the press conference. Okay, so we've seen that. Okay, so I think we've seen everything that we could possibly see today. That was a lot more information than I thought we'd have today, because I just only found out, last minute from everyone saying, hey, there's another press conference. I'm like, are you sure? They just had one. yesterday. So I'm going to link that one for you. We didn't watch it together, but I don't know if you like it that much. A lot of pats on the back, you know what I mean? And then minimal information. You know when it's like, no, we can't answer that, we can't say that, we don't know that yet, all of that. They couldn't say. So I'm so glad that they had this press conference today, because my goodness, did they answer a lot of questions and tell us many, many more things. So if you missed it, it's right at the beginning of the stream. You know, they said that the FBI assisted, and the Arkansas State Police were obviously the lead agency, and that he confessed to, well, made an admission that he committed these murders. And they found articles in his apartment after executing a search warrant. So this means there will be documents, there will be more body cam, I assume, over time coming out as well. They believe he acted alone as well, and that the husband was attacked first. So those are the main things that I scribbled down here. And there's no known association between the suspect and the victims. This is a random event, is what they say. And a knife was used. Sure, my goodness, that's so scary. So yeah, I can honestly think of nothing more scary, just to go on an innocent hike in absolute broad daylight. Mom, dad, and 2 girls aged 7 and 9. And the 2 parents end up murdered on that trail, where there's no cell phone reception either. Wow. So thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to put some timestamps as well in the pinned comment in the description box. You can hover over the video afterwards as well once I do that, because in the beginning it was really just the press conference, and then of course now if you watch till the end, thank you for watching till the end, especially if you're watching the replay, because there was a lot of information that I could share with you afterwards, right? All right, so I'm looking forward to reading your comments. Right now, if you're in the live chat with me, you're busy, chatting with me here in the live chat. But afterwards, please leave some comments below as well, because I always like to read those. And lately there's a new feature where I can react to them, which I like that as well. So I'll do that here and there too. Janet says, coffees for our mods NG. Thank you everyone for the coffees, for all your support, Patreon, PayPal, all the things. I really, really appreciate it. The stickers over here. And I will see you all again very soon. I'll keep you posted on whatever else the next development is. He's held on no bond and he could face the death penalty. The state hasn't indicated yet if they will seek it, but they could. Okay, so I'll see you again very soon. In the meantime, stay safe.